Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are the B Team. Thank you for joining us tonight. We, of course, are part of the Splitting Hairs podcast group, brought to you by Jackrabbit Illustrated, with our title sponsors of Cottonwood Coffee and Bistro in Brookings, South Dakota. Stop in for a delicious breakfast sandwich before the game, or also get yourself a cup of coffee. Get some coffee of theirs from any Minnesota Walmart or online. Use the code GI22 to save yourself 10% at checkout. Some restrictions may apply, as well as our other title sponsor, Drake's Place in Bowdle, South Dakota. Much more than a convenience store. They've got some of the best food that there is in the north central part of the state. I don't care if it's a restaurant or a gas station or anywhere else. Phenomenal pizzas, calzones, burgers, sandwiches, you name it. They've got it on sale or off sale liquor, as well as your normal convenience store amenities. And as always, we are also on the FCS Fans Nation podcasting group. So thank you for those of you who are joining us from around the FCS world. As always, we're back with Ben and Chad. Gentlemen, how are you? Chad, you had your big Vegas trip this weekend because someone's not good with calendars. So I was watching the game from Vegas.
I was watching the game from Vegas. It was pretty good. You know, it was a bit of a struggle, to say the least, to find somewhere that would like 100% guarantee that they were going to be able to play the game. So we ended up at it's called Blondie's in Planet Hollywood, right across the way from the V Theater, if you've ever been inside Planet Hollywood shops. And so we're sitting there, or we get there, and I get up to the podium to get checked in at the maitre d' or whatever, hostess, and lo and behold, what walks up behind me? Did I win anything? I will say it's possible. Anyway, there was like six NDSU fans, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're here for the FCS games too." And I'm like, "Yeah, but by the way," and I showed them. Well, I had my polo on, so. Yeah, it was a great time. We had me, Tyler Urban, his wife, his brother and his wife, my roommate who you've met, and then Terry, they tailgate over by us too. So Terry Bergeline. So she's part of the Staters. I think you've met her. So
Yep.
Dark curly hair. Yeah, it was a good time. Ended up at the Circa on accident, and got to watch the Packers win, which is what might have made it a good trip. So
hey, there you go. See, you put money on the Packers. You're crazy.
Maybe.
Well, it's the Bears. That makes sense. Good for you.
Rogers owns the Bears.
He does own the Bears.
It was
historical facts.
You know, I know Joe and Sean Pimp bet online, and they say that it makes it more exciting. And, you know, when you think you're going to lose money, that's not a great feeling. But when it flips, you know, when the worm turns, boy, that's a good feeling right there. Right, Ben? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Chad, I watch you during games you care about that you don't have money on. You with money riding on a game sounds nightmarish.
I was fine. There was a guy screaming at the Giants game. Tackle him, you lazy, you know, all these profanities, and like there's dudes standing to my left that are laughing, and I started talking to the guy. I'm like, you're just laughing because you've been that guy. And he's like, oh yeah, totally. I was like, me too. It's funny. We've all been that guy. So we were watching different games. They have like the longest bar, they claim. It's pretty insane. So it was pretty cool. If you ever get a chance to go to the Circa, it's probably the best place to watch games on the Strip, I'd say. Or on Fremont Street, anyway. So,
well, you missed out on a really fun tailgate. The tailgate was a blast. The herd was greatly thinned. I will say that in the library lot. Only the hardiest of us survived, and then Ben and I actually went and took a tour of the north lots, the backyard, I should say. And that was also greatly thinned. Man, you folks, the one thing I do have to say, you folks in the backyard, outside of Club 32, they got it going on. They built like a whole building with garage doors on each end that you can walk through and the weather's nice, and that was all heated and cozy. But guys, you got to put walls all the way around those tents and then heat them. You're just forcing unnecessarily cruelty on yourselves by only putting up a couple walls. I'm just telling you.
Come
But
over to the library lot. We'll teach you how to tailgate.
yeah, in the library lot, we had all the mega tent set up with hair raisers and everything, all four walls on. We had like our mini Thanksgiving dinner. I apologize to everybody if I sound a little nasally. I got a little haxy from last week, getting up at 4 a.m. every morning for the whole week and then doing the game and screaming my brains off. Tailgate was a lot of fun though. I had some inconveniences with cooking the bird for the Thanksgiving.
Funny way to put it.
That was, yeah, it was an inconvenience for everybody. I had to run the tailgate. I had to run the tent up to Ben to make sure the tent got on to the tailgate on time. Because I always give Chad a hard time when he's late to the tailgate. I was late by like an hour. And so I'm going to admit that.
Shame.
Yeah, I was very disappointed. So I was
I'm only like
bird.
10 minutes and end of the world.
I know. And so what happened is I was cooking the bird and I ran out of pellets.
Oh no.
And so it was at like 127 degrees and I needed to leave the house in like an hour. So I was sunk.
Those hoppers are pretty big. Usually you can fill them up and
make sure.
Yeah, it was filled. But then I went and I was just checking on my app, checking the temp instead of actually checking the grill. And when you're not out by the grill, you can't check how many pellets you have. So anyways, worked out, Ben. You know, I didn't even have to set anything up, which was kind of cool. That was nice. Matt says they could fit 15 people in an ice castle. Yeah, and you guys get to cuddle the whole time. Just
yeah, shout out to the hair raisers. They helped set up when I got there. That was great. If I'm looking up at the screen while we're watching it or while we're doing this, it's because SDSU is playing basketball at Montana right now, and they don't have a score ticker, so I have no idea what the score is. Right now, it's 6-2 Montana. It looks like.
Ticker sounds better than Scorebug. No, I like ticker. Scorebug sounds stupid. They call them scorebug bud.
A ticker is on the bottom like this because it tickers. It's got the ticker across the bottom where it ticks across the bottom. There's nothing moving across the bottom for a scorebug.
That's probably the wrong term for it.
Aaron Amick says, how about them cowbells? I mean, that was a resounding success, and I will happily take credit. We started something, and I don't think that momentum's stopping because there was a lot of people commenting about that on the TV broadcast. And,
you could definitely hear it on the TV broadcast.
I didn't know you guys close to some of the mics.
No,
somebody was with the cowbell because you could hear it on the broadcast pretty well. But yeah, I'm all for it. Bring the cowbells.
I mean, the cowbells were great. So funny story. A good friend of ours helped me out and let me take a preview of the presidential suite in like the media area and stuff, which was great. It was really cool to go up there and do all that, right? But you know, I'm dressed like I am for the game, so I got my bibs on and my hard hat and all my goofy stuff, and then I was semi sneaking my cowbells into the game, so I stuffed them in my back pockets, and it's quiet up there, like quiet, especially by the media. So I've got these cowbells in my back pocket. And I'm walking, and they're
literally sound like a cow.
Clunk, 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 clunk. I had two of them, so I had one in each back pocket with each clunk with each step, and I'm trying to hold them. So now I'm grabbing my ass as I'm walking through the media suite like an idiot, already looking like an idiot in my bibs and everything else. But it was cool. It was really cool to go up there. It was that was really awesome. Then we went down the field, and you know, obviously we're disappointed in the crowd that turned out just for numbers wise, but for the folks that did show up, like that was insane how loud it was for the amount of people that were there. And the really amazing thing to me was, I don't know if you felt this, Ben, but at least on our side, it felt like that second half where we caused the false start before the punt that went into the end zone, or the bad snap that went in the end zone, it felt like there was just this second wind that hit the crowd. And all of a sudden, for no reason at all, the crowd was like, let's bury him, and just went all in on it for some reason. And it was awesome. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was a great atmosphere, even though it was only like a third full, or a quarter full, really.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell the people that were there are the diehards, or the true fans. The people that really get into it. They're the people that probably are making the majority of the noise, even when the stadium's full.
Right.
And so they still make quite a ruckus when it's not full. But
it might almost be louder. Like Rick Jensen says here, the crowd side was low, but the volume was loud. And like you said, we're the people who are probably making the noise anyways. But now you don't have, an extra 14,000 bodies soaking up that noise, and the stadium echoes more. And I think that kind of amplifies the volume a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too.
It was awesome. Honey Badger asks, and this is obviously from the FCS Fans Nation YouTube page. Do SDSU fans like to watch the game on TV? Is your fan base just low in general? Well, we've had 2 sellouts this year. We averaged well north of 15,000 fans per game. That includes an 8,000 attended game at the end of the year for Illinois State. So the fan base is absolutely there, and it's growing. And we talked about this to some people beforehand in the tailgate who were just as frustrated as we are about the attendance for the playoffs. And that is that this is something that is building. 3 years ago, if you'd have told somebody we're going to have 2 sellout games, one's going to be the USD game, we're going to sell at Hobo Day, and it's not going to include the Dakota Marker game, I would have been just absolutely dumbfounded, impressed as hell. So it's something to build up to. Are we happy about it? Absolutely not. I'm really, honestly, a little bit pissed off about the amount of people that we know had to have been sitting in bars and would rather go to a bar because it's warm to watch the game instead of watch these Jacks players play. And especially when you have someone like Tucker Kraft on the team who turned down 6-figure NIL deal to choose SDSU. And by virtue of that, $300,000 he turned down to play for SDSU. And in choosing that, he also chose us, Jackrabbit fans, to be a part of this so we could watch him play. He turned that down to play here for us. $300,000. And you can't sit your ass in a little bit of cold weather for 3 hours because you are softer than Charmin toilet paper. That pisses me off. But if you were there, great. And people have legitimate excuses. I get that. But you can't tell me that there's 14,000 people of the 20,000 that showed up for USD and Hobo Day. Every one of those 14,000 has a family member event to go to. I don't think it's going above and beyond to expect us to have at least 10,000 fans at a playoff game, because Montana State fan base is able to do it. Montana fan base is able to do it. There's no reason that Jackrabbit fans can't do it other than just being babies about it. And that's what pisses me off about it. But obviously we've talked on this before and we don't need to go too far in the weeds with it.
I'm just a little concerned that we're leaving way too many seats open if we make it past this round, and Holy Cross is going to bring some fans for sure, but Montana State, not that far away. They're already organizing buses. We've seen this online, and it would be a shame if we can't get more people to these last 2 quality games.
Well, I doubt that Montana State's going to legitimately bring more fans than we will, but they're going to bring.
No, I'm not saying that. Yeah, that's
to me, the bigger thing is this is going to be representative of the SDSU fan base. The team is going to go out and show out for themselves. It's our fan base on ESPN that is either going to get its pants pulled down and look like a bunch of asses on national TV, or we're going to show up and prove something. So, and I'm not going to defend our fan base if nobody's there. Sorry, that is what it is. I will be right there lined up with everybody else to talk some crap about our own fans if we can't show up for the number one team in the country on national TV.
Yeah, I think we'll see a better crowd this week, and then I think we'll see an even bigger crowd if we win again this week. But yeah, I mean, we should be going up for them every week. They deserve it. You know, the coaches, if you check out their Twitters, you know, they're imploring people. They're saying, hey, get to the stadium. These kids deserve it. And it's true. We have a special team. If you're ever going to go to a Jack's playoff game, now's the time. Come support these guys, you know, and we harp on it all the time, but it's like, wear the right clothing and it's not cold.
Right.
Like I dressed appropriately and I was never cold. I stood outside for, you know, the 3.5 hours or whatever the game was. It wasn't cold. Not one bit.
Well, and sit on the east side and you'll be sweating. Ariel was shedding layers.
Yeah. So get to the game. But outside of that, the game itself was obviously good. Dominating win again. Tiny bit of rust when we started. We're worried about, our long layoff, how rusty we were going to be. Really weren't that rusty at all. Just a quick false start, which is a little concerning. But after that, it was pretty clean. As this guy says, other people are having problems with attendance too. But yeah, no, I thought it was a great game. The defense, again, is just dominant. It sucked to see Nolan Henderson go down right away.
Yes.
We saw that last playoff game. He's a fun player. I would have liked to see him in the whole game. Do I think it makes a huge difference? Probably not. They probably get more like 10 or 14 points or something like that rather than only the 6 they got, because he is a different he's a special player. I mean, he's a good player. So I hated to see him go down, but I don't know. We took care of business. We got after it. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a really fun game to watch. Obviously, the start wasn't ideal with the muffed punt. That's been talked about to death by everybody, the media asking Stig, and I mean, all A-team, us, everything. You can't undo it. I just remember it happened, and I happened to be sitting with Tim Haybeck, and we were both upset, and I just looked at him and I said, you know what? We're fine. We're fine. There's a lot of game to go left. We're fine. And then it after that, Delaware didn't do anything. It was cool to watch Dinkle punt again. He didn't have his best day punting by any stretch of the imagination, but his grandpa, I believe, his dad or his grandpa, I think it was his grandpa, if I remember right, actually came up to us in the stands and chatted with us a little bit and said how happy he was to be able to be back in Brookings watching him play again. So that was cool.
His long snapper didn't help him a whole lot. He had
no.
I mean, there was obviously the one that he missed was a tough snap, but even outside of that one, there was a multiple tough snaps where he was having to deal with that, try to get good punts off. I think the one that he kicked off of somebody's back was another, snap that kind of, the butt punt. Yeah. But I mean, the snap kind of sailed him that way. So yeah, I feel bad for the guy because he had a rough day. But back to the. Why we had success, I think it's a chain gang. Our defensive line is just absolutely dominant. If this team goes and wins the championship this year, they will be the reason why. They are the heart and soul of this team, and they just bring it every single game. They keep rotating guys in and out, and they never skip a beat. And it's just so hard for teams to get going when we have a defensive line like that. And the awesome part is the teams that we're going to see. So the team that we see this week, Holy Cross, we'll talk about later, is a running team. The team that we're likely to see next week is Montana State. They're a running team. The teams that we could likely see in the championship, NDSU, Sac State, running teams. And how do you stop a running team? You have a dominant defensive line, and that's exactly what we have. And so it's just I don't know. It's just exciting to think about how, we're so well set up for success with our defensive line and then our offensive line too. I mean, they dominated against Delaware and they've been playing well all year too. And when you've got two lines like we do, it's tough to stop.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, if you could pick one thing to be really good at, it's stopping the run. Because even if a team is set up to pass the ball, like Delaware wanted to pass the ball, and I don't think that their O'Connor, who came in after Henderson got out, was bad either by any stretch of the imagination. Like I think they got something there when he gets older and more experienced. He was a decent player, who did fly back to Delaware, for those wondering, after the scary situation that ended the game, because that was a bummer. He's okay, so that's a good deal. But when you have a team like Delaware that they want to pass the ball, but you completely take the runaway to the point that they're not even trying to do it anymore, then your good defensive line you're using to stop the run can just pin its ears back and go to town on that quarterback. And it's been mentioned before, but our defensive line wears down offensive lines, which is really backwards from how it normally works out in a football game. But they just wear these offensive linemen down, and they're just eating in that second half, and it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, it was fun to see Winkleman have a good game. He's had some injury problems this year. It seems like he's healthy now. He's playing really well. And Caleb Sanders, that guy,
that dude.
He's just so good. And when he's done with his career, which is probably after this year, I think we'll look back and he'll be one of the great all-time defensive tackles to play for STSU. How dominant he was. He doesn't necessarily fill up the stat line, but if you watch, he takes up two guys on every single play. And when you have somebody that attracts the attention of two linemen on every play, it limits what teams can do. It's just awesome to watch him play. And I was thinking back, I remember when he was a freshman, a true freshman, and they had the Culver's burger eating contest. And I'm pretty sure he won it. And he was just this nerdy looking, he wasn't physically imposing. Like he had these glasses and this hair going on, and it's like, who is this kid? Like this kid will never contribute at SDSU, And go ahead.
Yeah, we watched that, and then Kurt Lickis is telling us, "Oh, dude, this guy's gonna be special." And I'm like, "Really?" I mean, because looking at him, like you said, curly hair, glasses, won a burger eating contest. He looked a little pudgy, right? Not that isn't normal for a defensive lineman, or offensive lineman either. But yeah, I was just like, "Huh, okay, well, Kurt knows a little something. We'll see what." And dude's a stud, just an absolute stud.
Yeah.
Should we call Winkleman the Sandman? Like the Sandman's going to put you to sleep.
That's fine. We got Colonel Sanders and the Sandman.
Feels late in his career to come up with a nickname for him now.
Yeah, well,
for the last three, boys.
I woke up and had that thought in Vegas. That's all I can say.
I love it.
Oh my god!
So the rest of the defense also look good. The linebackers look good again. We didn't see Baki warm up, but they decided not to play him. It'll be interesting to see what we see this week. I'm guessing he'll warm up again and maybe play some snaps, but I'm guessing he doesn't play the whole time. I'm guessing they have on a pitch count, and maybe have him ready for the semifinals, assuming we won't necessarily need him this week, but maybe get him some run. But yeah, I mean, guys like Savion Williamson, he keeps producing. Like he goes out there and he makes plays. And Jason Freeman is a stud still. Good to see McGoy back. He came back from his long stint with an injury. And so, yeah, we're getting healthy again, which is awesome to see. I think Stig mentioned that basically everybody that could be healthy is essentially healthy going into this last game, which is awesome. Which, as much as we hated that bye week, it did turn out to be a good thing just because of how long the regular season was. Outside of that, our defensive backs, I think they don't get enough love. I think they're underrated. especially Dashon Gales. I mean, he's been showing up a lot on, in these, like, in one-on-one coverage. He's been making some big plays on defense and there's a lot of them, like Arel and Beanham, and you see those guys come up in run support, and they make solid tackles all the time. And so, this defense, it's just the whole unit together is just, it's a great unit, and it's so fun to watch. And I think go ahead.
I was just going to agree with you. They've been fantastic, and they've been getting better as the year goes on here. I mean, you look at some of the passing totals from the last couple of games; those have even gone down for opposing teams.
So Angela Griffin here says Caleb had been breaking records for years. He played both sides of the ball in high school, broke weightlifting records too. Proud mama, Iowa Jack. So this is Caleb's mom we're talking to?
That must be the mom to the grandfather me and Matt met down in Iowa. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for hopping on the pod. And then let's get to our offense. Again, the 605 Hogs, they dominated. I think it just seemed like we didn't even have to throw the ball if we didn't want to. Delaware would stop one of our runs every once in a while, but they were just, the holes were big. We were getting 7-8 yards a chunk. And it was good to see Gronowski run the ball a bit. He broke away with that long one. I thought we would have seen him kind of break away for the touchdown there, but he got caught from behind. But it was good to see. I mean, if teams start to have to really game plan for that, it's going to be tough to stop. He's a special player.
Is anybody wondering what happened to the explosive plays anymore? That's all the first half was, just gashing them for big plays on the ground, which was awesome. The Hogs absolutely dominated. By the way, our game recap is brought to you by Dakota Iron on the west side of Sioux Falls on 12th Street, where they dig deeper. Get a hold of them for any of your heavy equipment needs that you may have. They will hunt it down and find it for you and get you connected with the right equipment for your needs. The Hogs absolutely dominated, and people have asked, why no Tucker? There wasn't a lot of Tucker this game. You only threw the ball 17 times or something like that. Like, how involved is he going to be? And it just reminded me of at the beginning of the season when they were asking Luan, hey, what are you going to do to get the ball in all your playmakers' hands? And he said, we can't. There's not enough balls to go around to get it in everybody's hands. Then there's just going to be games where it's going to be this guy or that guy or this guy. And it was the running backs game with a little bit of the Yankee twins sprinkled in. And beyond that, there just wasn't enough balls to go around because we were just killing them on the ground so well that you couldn't stop going to that well. It was too plentiful.
Right. Joe looks like he's a Delaware fan. He said, saw you online. Good luck on your way to Frisco. Enjoy the ride. Go Blue Hens in 2023. Thanks, Joe. But yeah, so playoff Zay is back.
Yes, he is.
He's just
a different man.
Got another gear. Like I think the break probably helped him too, because I think he was he's had some nagging stuff. But man, he just, I don't know what it is, but I love it because he's just unstoppable in the playoffs, and I hope we see that continue.
He gets a force field around him that people just bounce off. Because there was 2 or 3 runs that game where I stopped. I was like, okay. And I turned to talk to somebody like, yeah, that was an awesome play, to high five someone. And the crowd roared again, and he's falling in the end zone. He's falling forward for another 10 yards. You're like, he had 3 guys. He's got to be down. No way.
Yeah, those poor Delaware defensive backs. I mean, they run this defense where they got like 5 or 6 DBs out there, and man, Davis was getting to the second level, and they couldn't do anything. Like, good luck tackling that guy.
Especially when he hits that second gear. I mean, he's just unstoppable then.
for sure. Mar Johnson had another good game. Back to Kraft. I hope we see him get the ball more. I think it was a product of just not passing the ball real often. I also wonder if it's a product of kind of, I don't know, saving him a little bit, but also like limiting his exposure. So I mean, like he decided that he could have easily said, you know what, I'm just going to prepare for the draft. I'm not, good luck in your playoff run, but he didn't.
Right.
He said, I'm going to be with my guys. I'm going to play, and which is awesome. But part of that may be saying, you know what, especially in games where we've got it in hand like that, it's like why expose him when it's not necessary. And so, he was in there on a lot of run plays. He was blocking his butt off. But that may be part of it too, is what I wondered. But we'll see going forward. I think we'll see him get involved a little bit more into the later rounds of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where if we knew the game plan was going to work where we could just gash them with the run, then why use that? Why overuse those guys or expose them to potential injuries when you don't have to, which makes sense to me. Jace Hollenbeck says DeMar is such a good outside zone compliment to Zay too. He really is. He's so fast. His touchdown that he had after it was our fourth rushing touchdown of the game. He just outran dudes to the pylon. It was awesome. It was awesome. So really love watching him run around out there as well. But yeah, I don't have much more on this game outside of
that. The Yankees again, amazing. Jackson with that toe tap in the back of the end zone was awesome. And the throw by Gronowski, it was really good throw. Put it where only Jackson could catch it, and then Jaden with the yard after catch. He just racks it up. I mean, the guy, he gets open, he gets separation. I don't know. They're both just fun to watch. Last thing I was going to comment on that game, number 32 for Delaware. What an idiot. Did you see?
Yeah. So we didn't understand what was going on from our vantage point when I rewatched the game. And I saw it, I'm like, what? Oh, that's why everybody was booing. I get it.
Yeah, him and Coons were getting into a little, I mean, Coons is blocking him, and then the guy was getting mad about it, and then the guy does a Fortnite L dance where you put the L on the forehead and you dance around a little bit. I've never seen
somebody do on a field before.
Just embarrassing. You're making an ass out of yourself, and then the coach says, no, you're coming out. And he tries to send the guy in to take him out. And the 32 waves him off and says, nope, I'm staying on the field. The coach was not having that. And good for him. He took a timeout. He took a timeout and he was running onto the field. He's like, get your ass off the field right now. It was, which I'm happy because that, I mean, if you're trying to develop a program, you can't have guys acting like that. And that, and in classy fashion, that guy, came out the field, threw his helmet down. He's throwing a fit. So, yeah.
AJ won the response, and that guy did not. And I'm sorry to interrupt, Brendan, but yeah, they were showing it on the broadcast, and it was like, this guy's getting his butt chewed off. It was Go ahead.
I think they have the right coach there in Cardi, and they've got some things that are. I don't think they're going to drop off by any means. I mean, you could see some of the things he wanted to implement worked. It's just they didn't have the horses.
Right. Yep. Other than that, that's all I got for that game. Let's go ahead and talk about the other playoff games that occurred. We've got the first one was.
How'd we do in our picks?
I went 4-4. You went 5-3. Gain another pick on me.
Boom! Oh, your kitty ears are going to look fantastic on you, and you're going to love your background.
Yeah, I've only got 7 games left, and I'm down by 3. So need a miracle here. We'll see. Chad's got them up on the screen here. Obviously, SDSU beat Delaware 42-6. Those scores are in a weird spot. and SDSU covered, obviously.
I didn't make the bracket, man.
Which that's that's one that I picked and Brendan got wrong, but he's obligated to keep picking against SDSU because when he does, we keep blowing teams out. So
you're welcome, America. And also, I'm sacrificing games and still beating you. I want this to be known. I'm willingly sacrificing a game per round, and I'm beating you.
Anyway, then we've got...
You convinced me to do it last time, even.
I did.
I was going to take us, and then you're like, oh, you can't. I'm like, fine, you're right.
The other game on our side of the bracket is Holy Cross beat New Hampshire 35-19. That game was sloppy. It was raining, and it was just a gross game if you watched any of it. I think on a clean field and a decent day, New Hampshire beats Holy Cross. But Holy Cross, I mean, that type of game played right into Holy Cross's lap in terms of, just playing bully ball, like loving to run the ball every play and just get downhill. And so many things went wrong for New Hampshire. Good for Holy Cross for winning that game.
I think Holy Cross beats them anyways. I really do. With the way they were able to move the ball on the ground, it might have been closer, but I think Holy Cross beats them.
Right.
I really, truly do.
Yeah. Anyway, William & Mary took care of Gardner-Webb, which we all kind of thought would happen. They won 54-14 and covered. Holy Cross covered as well, by the way.
Gardner-Webb sucks, just like I said, which tells you how much Eastern Kentucky sucks. I'm still butthurt about my $50 goddamn dollars.
Yeah, how
you stupid Colonels?
How
did you
Eastern
lose
Kentucky
to that team?
bad?
Yeah, how bad was the whack A Sun?
Or is William & Mary just that good?
Didn't the Rev warn us about this though?
No, he did not warn us about this. He told me I was a dumbass for picking them post-mortem.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rev.
Montana State beat Weber State 33-25. That was an interesting game to watch. Montana State handled it pretty easily, but Weber State made it interesting at the end. We'll talk about Montana State more probably next week, but man, Tommy Mellott is looking really good. That kid is so fast, so shifty, and he is so tough. So he's if that we end up playing, he's going to pose a big threat. NDSU took care of Montana, just ran the ball all over them, like embarrassed them. I don't know. Wasn't it like 500 or 600 yards rushing? Something crazy.
Yeah. They just...
Whooped them 49-26 covered. The Sanford Southeastern Louisiana game went into overtime, which was interesting. Sanford came out on top, 48-42.
Sanford won with their backup quarterback for pretty much the whole game, which...
Is he going to be back this week?
I don't know. He played for like 3 plays, or he had 3 pass attempts or something at the start of that game, and then they pulled him. So he was trying to come back. So maybe he does come back against NDSU. And that might give him a puncher's chance, but if he's not there, they are screwed.
Yeah. Yep. I needed that one, though. That one I took Southeastern Louisiana. It would have been nice if they could have pulled that off in overtime. Incarnate Word barely beat Furman 41-38. They did not cover that one either. And then Sacramento State beat Richmond 38-31. And they also did not cover.
Yep.
So
that'll happen. I watched the end of that Sac State Richmond game, and that was a whole fiasco.
Yeah, Sac State's an interesting team. They just kind of keep surviving. They're not dominant by any means, but they're winning games, so you can't argue too much with it.
They slide on by.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Seth Meyer says Sanford's QB won't be back. He's a sitting duck if he is. The funniest thing to me is about anybody who posts Sanford's name. If you text in this part of the country, it will autocorrect to Sanford, like the hospital, because we don't have anything named Sanford around here. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Look, another Stanford. Stanford's coach said it will be a game time decision on if they're starting their QB from Deion Blumenrader. I'm just teasing you, man. I do it all the time too. But yeah, that's going to really help with our picks when it's a game time decision that could drastically tilt how a game might go. But
that is a tough game to pick at that point. Which, speaking of which, let's go ahead and roll into those. This week, the first game we've got is Incarnate Word going to Sacramento State. Sacramento State is a 7-point favorite, which is interesting matchup. Sacramento State, a heavy run team. Incarnate Word, a heavy pass team. It'll be interesting to see if Lindsey Scott can continue kind of carrying that team. I'll let you go ahead and pick this one first. Sac State -7.
Well, the interesting thing about that is Incarnate Word's coach has already accepted another job.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to an FBS job, but he's sticking around. And it worked out for him in the first week here to win as a seed at home. I think Sac State has the monkey off its back for the playoffs and getting that win. I think that pressure was really on them last game, and that's part of why they struggled. Besides, Richmond is a pretty solid team. But with the coach being gone and all that, so I'm going to go ahead and take Sacramento State at home. Jordan Fink says, apparently I was on TV for like 10 seconds. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't exactly have a face for television, but.
Yeah, it was actually while that the O'Connor was down. They were showing shots of the crowd, kind of watching him, worried about him as he was laying there because it was a very scary scene. But anyway, so you're taking Sac State -7.
Correct, sir.
I think I'm going to take Incarnate Word to keep this one close. I think that they'll do enough. I don't know that they'll win the game, but I think they'll scare Sacramento State. It's just kind of the way they play. They
That's
do
fair.
just enough to win. I think Sac State will win by 3 here. Then we've got NDSU hosting Samford. NDSU is a 16.5-point favorite, which is a lot of points.
That's a lot of points, but I think I think they win by a lot more. We've seen what happens when NDSU plays a mediocre run defense, and Samford's is awful. And the only chance they had was if their starting quarterback was fully healthy and could make it a shootout, and that's not going to happen. And they're going to crumble in the Fargo Dome, and NDSU is going to beat the brakes off of them. They might rush for 550 yards. I would not be shocked.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think NDSU just runs all over them. The one interesting news about NDSU is that Hunter Lepke isn't coming back due to injury and or getting ready for the draft. So they'll have to finish their season out without him, which is a huge. I mean, they're running the ball well, but this is against teams that don't stop the run real well.
Right.
Not having Hunter Lepke for the rest of the season is actually a pretty big deal.
Well, it's a big blow later, like when they play either us or Montana State. I don't think it's going to even matter when they play Sac State or Samford. Like, he won't be the deciding factor, and if they win or lose,
probably not
those games.
Right. Yeah. So I agree with you. NDSU in that one, 16.5. And then we've got the game that would feed into us. William & Mary goes to Montana State. Montana State is a 7.5-point favorite in this one.
Ooh. Montana State's 7.5 points. I will take William & Mary with the points. I think Montana State wins, but I think William & Mary is a stout team, and I think they'll keep it closer than Montana State would like.
I'm going to Jace Hollenbeck asked over under 8.5 pass attempts for Miller.
Give me the under.
I'll go just over. I'll go 10.
He's gonna have so few pass attempts when they hit the natty that he might forget what a pass actually is.
Yeah. All right. Corey Carraway says, sounds like Spencer Wagey got hurt on a crackback block during the pick six. Yeah, there was kind of a dirty play that happened against Spencer Wagey. Hopefully he's all right. I haven't heard any news there. Ron Lowney says sack stay 45-35. Demez says no way. Cats cover easy. Ron,
I think the Cat fans have found us.
I say Ron brought a friend.
he brought a couple.
Jeez.
Which,
yeah, it was
Ron, you have more than one friend. Good for you.
All right. I will take Montana State, though. I think that their rushing attack is just as good as NDSU's. It's tempting not to because I think their defense is susceptible. But I don't think William & Mary does enough. And Montana State's a tough place to play. It's a long trip for William & Mary. I'll take Montana State by at least 7.5.
So you're doing the old bank on Brendan being wrong on every one of these trick. I like it.
No, I picked NDSU with you.
That's true.
And then we've got our game, Holy Cross, coming into town. And what do you think we're favored by?
16.5.
Very close. 15.5.
15.5. I should have remembered. I saw it earlier today.
You son of a bitch. It probably depends on the book, but the book we're using is 15.5. You go ahead and pick first.
All right. So with this game, Holy Cross, I don't think they are a slouch team. I really don't. They've got big offensive lines. They're very, very veteran. They've all been to Brookings, this whole team. In Patriot League teams in the past, the way it works is the really, really good ones make it to the playoffs like 2-3 years in a row. And they make it when most of them are like sophomores and then juniors and then seniors. And so that senior year, they can be dangerous to power conference or big three conference opponents, just like they almost beat Villanova last year. You know, Colgate has gone and beaten JMU before it. And so this isn't a game where we could just roll the helmets out, and I'm sure that the squad won't do that. But on the flip side, they, just like pretty much everybody else left in the field outside of Incarnate Word, do exactly what we would hope as Jacks fans you get to face, and that's a team that loves to run the ball and predicates everything off of running the ball. They're balanced, but if they don't have the run to get their pass going, they are in trouble, because if they have to go with Sluka, who's an absolute beast of a quarterback, especially when he's able to run the ball, he's not terribly accurate, even though he is proficient at throwing the ball. So if you force them to be one-dimensional, they're going to be in trouble. They're going to have a hard time. So I do like this matchup for us because they're not going to rush for 300 yards on this team. They probably won't rush for 200 yards on us. Maybe they'd hit $120, $150, maybe. I don't know if that's going to be enough to get it done. And I do think that the depth that we have will wear on them in the second half. So I can see us, similar to what I thought was going to happen against Delaware, where we are up by a score and then ice the game away in the fourth with a one later touchdown to put the game on ice. So I think we win by about 14. So I will actually take the points with Holy Cross. And the
Good.
Crusaders.
Good.
You need to convince me.
Sluka is a good quarterback. He is definitely a run
tough.
threat. He is very tough. He did
the Jason Witten, which is amazing.
The what?
The Jason Witten. Do you remember that play way back when Witten was playing in the NFL? He got popped right in the chin, catching a ball over the middle against the Eagles, and his helmet went flying off, and he ran for another 30 yards. Still one of my all-time favorite plays in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
He did the same thing, except he got a penalty because you're not allowed to keep playing when you lose your helmet.
Yeah. So the kid can play. I mean, he's very similar to Tommy Malott of Montana State. He's very good at running the ball. They run this kind of RPO type thing where he keeps it a lot of the time. They've also got a running back. I don't know his name, but he's a bowling ball. He just puts his head down, and it's 3 or 4 yards in a cloud of dust, possibly Peterson. But so they've got a pretty good running attack. I just don't think it'll hold up against the likes of our defensive line and our linebackers. Sluka can throw the ball, but it's usually predicated on teams getting sucked up and it happening in play action with the RPO. So I don't see them having a ton of success in the pass game, just because I don't think that they'll get their run game going, and they won't get us to commit enough guys into the box. I do think that they get more points than Delaware did. I think that Sluka is going to get loose a couple times, maybe for a touchdown, because he is that good. I don't doubt that. I'm going to go in the realm. I think they score 14 points. I think they do, but I think we score like 42 points. And so I'm going to take SDSU to cover. Corey Caraway says, way to take one for the team, Brendan. Take the points and give us the 50 Butterburger. Love that. 50 Butterburger.
We were in a 50 Butterburger watch last week.
Yeah, we were for a bit, and then the game kind of slowed down in the fourth quarter. Maybe we'll see it happen this week. 50 Butterburger, the game of the week, presented by Culver's of Brookings and Watertown. Go get your Butterburgers and all their the other good stuff they have at Culver's.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned the chippy play for Holy Cross, and I don't even know from their standpoint if they consider it chippy, or even on the East Coast it's necessarily considered chippy. I think they just think they're being a gritty East Coast team who plays through the echo of the whistle and all that stuff, and they just have that we're the tough and gritty, scrappy underdog and they play with a big chip on their shoulder. All they've heard for the last probably 7 weeks now, since they've been in the top 10, is how they don't deserve to be in the top 10. They're a Patriot League team. They can't compete with the big boys. They're not going to do it. They're not going to get it done. And you know what? No matter how it played out, they put a beating on UNH in that second half of that game. I mean, forced errors or unforced errors, they got a bunch of turnovers and beat the shit out of the Wildcats, a CAA team who for a while there was in contention to win the CAA. So they weren't that far off from being a seeds themselves. So I don't think we can just and I'm not saying we are, and I know the team isn't taking them lightly, because this Holy Cross team is going to come in with a serious attitude and act like they have something to prove, especially against the number one team in the country. They just are. They're going to absolutely do everything in their power to prove a point that they belong to be on that field. And I think, they're a top 8 seed for a reason. You're one of the top 8 teams in the country to have made it this far and to be seeded. That's just the facts of the matter. They're going to come out and they're going to play hard nose, and they are going to absolutely do some things that try to elicit responses out of our players. And UNH let it get to them. And I think part of it was UNH being in the CAA and having a lot of interaction with the Patriot League teams. They probably for sure do see themselves as a better program because they're a CAA program instead of the Patriot League. So I think they took it a little more personally than our guys will, because we won't have the same superiority complex as a CAA team like UNH would playing a Patriot League team. So I don't think it'll bother us as much if it is a tight game in the beginning. But they're definitely going to do what they can to get us out of our headspace.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you gotta, like Corey Caraway says, win the response. I mean, you can't get caught up into it, because as soon as you do, you'll be the one that gets caught and a flag for it. So, yeah, I think like you said, I mean, they're going to put up a fight. Honey Badger says momentum and turnovers will play into this game. Jacks haven't been tested in playoffs yet. Sluka is a savage. If he can take care of the ball, it'd be a good game. Otherwise, Jacks by 21. Speaking of take care of the ball, I do think that'll be something that we see, is that they won't be able to get the run going against us as much, and they'll probably start to get behind, and they'll have to try to pass the ball. I don't think they're equipped well to pass the ball, and so I think our defense, which finally had a game without an interception, I think we see them return to that this game. I think we see at least one interception, probably two, in my opinion, just because I think they'll have to start to throw the ball, and they're just not used to doing that. Jim Poppin mentioned early tailgate. Yep, it's an 11 a.m. game on ESPN. Let's fill the stadium. Let's show ESPN what we got. What's up, Chad?
6. Got to be there at 6. I had the wrong screen.
6.
6 a.m. is when the tailgate
whenever the
open.
hell you want. Show up whenever the hell you want is what it is. They weren't even taking payment last game. I'm pretty sure if you wanted, you could start tailgating at 4 a.m.
probably
on Saturday, and they won't say boo. And I've considered it just to say that I started tailgating at 4 a.m. That thought has crossed my mind. If I didn't have extra friends coming that I got down here, that I have coming down from Fargo to come to the game that aren't NDSU fans,
this weekend?
I would consider. Yeah, I do. I have 4 of them. So
sweet.
Yeah. Tell a friend, phone a friend, anybody you can find, drag them with you. We have 7,500 followers on Matt's JI account. So if half of you make it to the game and then each one of you brought 3 friends, we'd have some pretty solid attendance. So just, if the grocery store clerk gives you a funny look when you're buying duct tape, a sack, and, a club, that's not important. Just throw them in the trunk of your car, and then pop the trunk open at the Dana, and there they are. And now they're going to the game. Tough shit. Now you're here. You might as well go with a headache. Here's a beer. Quit your crying.
While you're at the store, grab a cowbell.
Grab a cowbell while you're at it. Yes, cowbells are happening. And the funny thing is people looked at me, and they're like, with the cowbells, they're like, "Oh, we can do that now?" And people were like, "Well, it's playoffs, so it's not a Valley rule." And I'm like,
"No, it's an NCAA rule now." But whatever.
It's not, but
it is. Also, I've looked it up.
Oh, it is. Well,
yeah.
My thing
I don't care.
Who gives a shit? Make them stop us. That's my thing. Push it until they stop us, because I bet they won't. If everybody shows up with a cowbell, or even half of us, they're not going to have space to put the confiscated cowbells. So just bring the goddamn things, because it's awesome, and do it. No waking Ariel up at 3 just so I can say that. That's what she thinks.
All right. Well,
I'm gonna wake you up with an air horn so you can't fall back asleep at 3 a.m., honey. Then you'll have to do it.
If you are coming to the game and you do want to come early, stop by the mega blue tent by the porta potties over by where the alumni tent was. We'll be in there. It'll be nice and toasty. Not sure what we'll have for food this time, but I'm sure we'll have some breakfast.
I'm bringing those breakfast sandwiches that my wife normally makes. I'll be making those. They're on a Hawaiian roll. They're pretty tasty. If you don't know where our tailgate is, just go to Google Maps, type in Jackrabbit Book Club. It'll take you right there.
There you go.
Yeah, it's on Google. It's on Google Maps. So,
yep. All right. I think we're going to finish before an hour for the first time this year.
No, we're not.
You can't find 2 minutes worth of stuff to just go over a buck. Matt will be terribly upset.
He's gonna be disappointed. Yeah, I think.
You could talk more about your kidnapping plans, Brendan.
Yeah, that's just brilliant.
Cattle trailer full of kidnapped people that you just open the doors. Hey, look where you are. Ticket for you. Ticket for you.
Anything.
Prime. I don't give a shit. There's my thoughts on Coach Prime. I literally could not give a shit less about a FBS coach. I'm sorry, and I'm not saying that like to rag on you, Jordan, or anything. I don't care. He was good for the SWAC, and I don't care that he moved on. I guess it doesn't really affect our SDSU doesn't really affect the playoffs because he was never going to play in the playoffs because he was always going to be in the SWAC championship game. So I don't care. I don't.
Ron with the rabbit stew comment. Ron, I hope if we play Montana State next week, I hope
Montana
Ron's there.
State fans right now are
Ron,
just
you better
so
be at our
full of
tailgate.
themselves over a game that happened a year ago,
Mhm.
which, by the way, the team I'm not going to say that word. The team that paddled you like a small child in the national championship game, the only team that beat them, and convincingly so, is the one that you got lucky to catch off of 4 trips to 4 different time zones. So y'all need to chill just a little bit. Be confident, that's cool, but y'all are really pretty big for your damn britches. A lot of the shit I've been seeing, like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You're not NDSU. Calm down.
Yeah. DMAS has
made an
nothing but
hour.
respect for SDSU. Nice. We did it.
Hey, we made an hour.
All right.
Yay.
Jim Poppin, he's right. Go big, go blue, go
Go
Jacks.
Jacks.